Bonne nuit, happy International Women's Day, and good evening, or bonne fête, as I was greeted all day by strangers and friends alike, honoring and celebrating International Women's Day. This is a pretty major holiday in Algeria, including the fact that some women get the day paid off, or at least part of the day, to honor their labor and work and contribution as workers in Algeria. My day was spent at two key events. One was a roundtable press conference where I was asked to talk about the role of journalists in being able to shift discriminatory practices and implicit biases, and also a really interesting conversation about intersectionality and how to understand the role of intersectionality in ending oppression movements, social justice movements nationwide. There were members of the press from Echououk TV, from Algérie 360, L'Expression and Le Temps Algérie. It was a wonderful conversation, and I'm really grateful to have had the insights and commitment and inquisitiveness of these journalists to really push the conversation and to push the envelope. In the evening, I was part of a panel of women at a Be Bold for Change, which was the theme of this event, the U.S. Embassy here in Algeria. And we were asked to speak about what does being bold for change look like, what are the, where have we been bold as women to make change happen, and what inspires us. The key conversation that ended up developing from the evening was a conversation about cafés here in Algeria. For those of you who don't know, these cafés are public cafés. They're clearly open to the public, but they're exclusively for men, or at least that's been historically the case, and in many parts of Algeria that's still the case. We use obviously the cafes as a metaphor for male-dominated spaces, and some were really pushing to integrate these spaces, and other women were really pushing for having women-only space cafes to develop alongside these cafes. And what became very clear in the conversation was that it wasn't whether to integrate or to have women-only spaces. It was that women didn't want to experience sexism and male domination for going out to get a cup of coffee. And this ended up being a very powerful conversation and reaped with insight and authenticity about what the barriers are that women face in terms of race, in terms of sexism and male domination here in Algeria. I can tell you, for me, as a Westerner, unaware of this implicit restriction, I happened to walk into one of these all-male spaces and have a cup of tea and a croissant. It was very clear that I had violated some norm that I was unaware of, but I was served. And it really struck me tonight when one of the women said, the men don't want all male spaces either. They just don't know how to change them. And I think one of the key lessons that I got from this evening is that it will be up to women to lead in this effort to end male domination and sexism, that men are stuck here through no fault of their own. And that the places that we can be bold for that change and to really challenge the internalized sexism that has us in any way agreeing to these limits is what it's really going to take to make the world one that is equitable and just for us all. So that's my blog for tonight. I hope you had a great day. I look forward to reading your comments and replying, and I'll see you à demain, tomorrow.